welcome into the form. We've got so much to discuss this weekend. Of course, it is Cox Plate Day at the Valley, and we've got group racing as well closer to home. So talk through all of the action. We welcome back Aidan Rodley and Matt Cross as well this week on the form. And this is what we'll be starting with. The big one, the time-honoured Cox Plate, will be our first preview. Then we're heading to Ellerslie, where we've got the Group 2 Soliloquy Stakes. Our racetrackers heading to Riccarton. They've got the Group 3 Watercree Stakes as we get closer to Cup Week. Our Moonee Valley Gold Cup preview. We see the Kiwi Sharp and Smart step out there. The Thompson handicap, of course, Group 3 racing on Sunday at Trentham. And as you know, our best bets, will be trying to find you more of those this weekend. We head to the Valley for Group 1 racing. Race number 9 on the program, the Cox Plate, where Prognosis is the favourite, the Japanese raider at $3.60 from Via Sistina. She has been a market mover despite what happened during the week, $5.50 into $4. Pride of Jenny at $5 in the market, and then you're getting out to Broadsiding at $6. Let's have a look at Prognosis. We'll take you back to the Queen Elizabeth II Cup, and really nice form race here. Aidan obviously finishing second to Romantic Warrior, coming off what was a really slow start.
Yeah, it sure was. Pip, hi to you and to Matt and to everyone. You're only beaten ahead by last year's Cox Plate winner, Romantic Warrior, and going back even 4 starts into the Hong Kong Cup, went down a length in running 5th to that horse. In between time, there was a Group 2 Kinko Show win in Japan. So there's a lot of upside for a horse who's won 7 of 15. It's often hard to just really get a good line on those horses coming in from Japan, Matt, but how did you assess him?
Well, the worrying thing for him, Aidan, is that he can be very slow to get away. So if we get a horse like Pride of Jenny who puts a gap into them, he may well be giving her a decent head start. He was 4th in the Sapporo Kinnan last time out. That's known as a Super Group 2, if you will, in Asian terms. Gorgeous horse. Just the worrying thing here, I think, is where does he get to in the run around the Valley? If he does put in a bit of a slow start, he's going to have a fair bit of work to do. Well, here's Via Sistina, and obviously the big talking point about her is the issues that she had at the Valley during the week in her morning track work, with one of the bandages getting tangled up and behind, knuckling over, dropping James McDonald. This was a super win in the Turnbull. The form is obviously stacked up. You've got Caulfield Cup form, Buckaroo to her outside, looked to have her beaten at the 200 metres, and then she's lifted herself off the canvas and has been very good late in the piece. Massive concerns about her here, Aidan. I know they're going to make a call on Saturday morning, but it must dent confidence what happened during the week.
Yeah, although sort of hearing from the camp that they are obviously really happy with her. They'll just change her preparation, and considering that she's done a couple of extra laps of the Moonee Valley track and training, and just have a right, you know, they've got all the science behind it now. They had a heart rate monitor on her. By all accounts, she recovered really quickly, not as fast as what she normally would under a normal gallop, but still quick enough, so they're happy enough. Wouldn't you believe it, a 7-year-old mare. We saw one of those winning in Everest last weekend, as well as Sumi taking out a feature race here in New Zealand. So maybe she's in a sweet spot. She's certainly in the right stable with Chris Waller and, of course, our man, James McDonald, to ride. Have a look at Pride of Jenny. She's just got everything right about her for this. I think Moonee Valley is okay for her. She'll get out to a good lead and be awfully hard to run down. She's run second, beaten by Shell Wolf in a really good running of the King Charles III last time out, but her prior form is first rate, and I don't think you have to look too far back in the form line to see what she did in that Queen Elizabeth match. Yeah,
and the big thing about her is if they leave her alone around the Valley, she's going to be awfully hard to run down. I guess the big question mark in the race is who's going to slot across and potentially run second. I know there was a hint from the Hayes team that potentially that horse could be Evaporate from a wide barrier draw, bearing in mind it is the stablemate of Mr. Brightside who has to carry all of the pudding. But if they leave her alone up front, Pride of Jenny, and they have to do that work, say, from the 800 to the 200, she might just have enough in the tank to keep a winning break. I guess the big key to the race is the other 3-year-old in the race, Broadsiding, who's got the 49.5 kilos. Running the Caulfield Guineas last time out, I know that Connections were happy to just put a line through it. He got back. It was a race that was suited to those that was close enough to the speed. Looking to join a list of great 3-year-olds that have won the Cox Plate, including Satherbiel, So You Think, and Octagonal. Does he need to be ridden a couple of spots closer and utilise that weight, Aidan, is the big question mark? Potentially so.
Yeah, and I think he can be. He wasn't too far off them in the Golden Rose. He was sort of just behind midfield when he was able to win that fresh up, and that was over 1,400 metres. He won 3 races in good quality races at 1,600 metres as a 2-year-old. Champagne Stakes, JJ Atkins among those. So yeah, the drop in weight from 57 carried that down the Caulfield Guineas down to 49.5 with Jamie Carr aboard. There's definitely upside about him, but does he just need to improve a touch to be up against the horses who were like Mr. Brightside in last year's Cox Plate, running such a close second and behind Romantic Warrior? His lead-up form has been top-notch. He's a Kiwi bred with all the right ticks beside his name. He's won 17 of 38, and he relishes Moonee Valley. I think he's going to be very hard to beat, Matt.
Just the thing about him is that the timing of the run, if Pride of Jenny is in front, I don't think Craig Williams will be wanting to have to burn all of his gas from, say, the 800 to the 400 and then trying to pick her up. He can win the race, but 59 kilos, I know that he deserves it, is certainly not going to be easy. I'm going to go again with Broadsiding. I think he can win the race, and at the price is around $6.08, and I thought he was a bit of a shop at that price.
Yeah, and master trained too in James Cummings. I'm going to go with the Trelawney Studbred Pride of Jenny. Thinking the Kiwi breed can get the job done. I think she's going to be awfully hard to beat. No surprises what she does tactically here, Pip. She'll be out in front, and she'll be, I think, maybe establishing a winning break.
Yeah, and it'll be a big couple of weekends for Kira Ma if that is the case. 7:10, the Group 1 Cox Plate gets underway on your big Saturday. Head back to Ellerslie again this weekend. So Aidan, let's head to you. We were on a good surface there last weekend. What are we expecting this time?
Yeah, obviously there's a bit of terrible weather coming this weekend, and it's New Zealand wide, so currently a good 4 track. Obviously Ellerslie, the new track here, will see that it will just absolutely drink up the water, so it should be okay. Rail out 5 metres without 3 metres for last week's meeting, so yeah, there's a few showers in the forecast, heavier in the afternoon, but yeah, but just interesting, a little test of Ellerslie just to see how thirsty it is.
Yeah, it will be. So let's take a look at the feature. It is race number 7 on the program, the Windsor Park Stud Soliloquy Stakes at Group 2 level. Over the 1,400 metres, Alabama Lash, she's short but deservedly so, $1.45. Love Poem at $8.50 and Kitty Flash on that third line of betting at $9.50. Let's go back in the Gold Trail Stakes, and boy, she was so impressive here, Aidan.
I hadn't realised she was so short, Pip. That's 145. Wow. She's been terrific, though. And she's done everything right. She's just so clinical. She's becoming a little professional. She beats home, I guess, her arch rival this day, Captured by Love, because Captured by Love had beaten her in the Matamata Breeder Stakes, giving her her only defeat. One thing about this race, Matt, the last 6 winners of the 1,000 guineas have come through the Soliloquy. It is a key form guide.
As it was last year, we saw, I think the first 4 home were amongst the first 5 in the 1,000 guineas, and then you throw in Lubron, who of course went bush in the Soliloquy last year. She was a part of that top 5 finish too in the 1,000 guineas. Interesting around Alabama Lass. I know there is some discussion around whether she'll get out to 1,600 metres. I think 1,400 will be no worries. She's a horse who naturally wants to go forward, and she looks as though she relaxes well enough. She's by a Group 1 winner over 1,400 metres, and Alabama Express and her siblings have all performed beyond 1,400 metres as well, and I thought her trial was really good too. Of the others in the race, I thought that Love Poem, the half-sister to Estriella, was a horse who's on the up. Alabama Lass has had the better of her on race day. That was back in the Matamata Breeders, where they were both beaten by Captured by Love. But she's a horse on the up. She can bounce out from barrier number 3, bearing in mind that Alabama Lass has drawn the 10 hole. She could get a pretty decent run here, Aidan, Love Poem, and would have to naturally be improved off this effort.
Yeah, this was a maiden, but you go back into her first 3 runs and they were all in stakes company, and she was competitive in the lot of them. An interesting point about this year's Soliloquy Stakes, and Love Poem is part of this. There are 3 horses, because of the change of the Caulfield 1,000 guineas in Melbourne, that goes to the 16th, so it's the same day as the 1,000 guineas in New Zealand. 3 of the field in the Soliloquy Stakes are actually entered for the 1,000 guineas in Melbourne, so that being Love Poem. There's also another couple that we will show you very shortly as well, those being the Stephen Marsh stablemate, Sexy on Mowat, and also Kitty Flash, who was really good last time out, Kitty Flash, in winning. She's gone back-to-back. She's beaten home both Flash Effect and TriStar here, but she's raising the bar and doing it really nicely. There's so much upside about her, Matt.
Yeah, she's a horse that just keeps getting better and better, doesn't she? She's very willing. She's proven at 1,400 metres. And from the barrier, she might get a sweet trip. We talked about that pressure likely to come from a horse like Love Poem out of 3 and Alabama Lass going forward. So if she can slot down just in behind them or even work over to the rail and try and dictate the first half of the race, she's progressive enough to be winning at Aidan, and I thought just a touch of overs potentially at that $9 quote.
Yeah, she's going really well, no question. And another one who's bringing very similar form lines is Sexy and Mowat, who basically comes in with 2 wins, just as Kitty Flash did. And there's something about her as well. In this race, she beats home Archaic Smile, so it's a really good form line because we know the quality of Archaic Smile. She's won 3 of 9 and run placings in another 4 as well. So she's not out of this Archaic Smile, and maybe just getting a little bit tight for room here as well. But Sexy and Mowat is a filly with real upside. She's got a bit of class about her too, Matt.
And if there is that early pressure and a couple of them have each other on for the first 400 metres, that's going to bring her right into play, Sexy and Mowat. She's a very gutsy filly, a lot of scope about her as well from the very good stables, and is proven right-handed, which is obviously a big tick as well. Hard to go past Alabama Lass, but at $1.45, how do you make money? You could potentially shop a horse like Kitty Flash on the each way, but on the form, it's pretty hard, Aidan, to go past Alabama Lass, maybe just a bit short.
Yeah, and please bear this in mind. When I've done my selections for the show, I hadn't looked at these prices whatsoever. I have made my best just so that's out there. I think she is clearly the horse to beat, but this is a really good quality running of the Soliloquy Stakes. But nonetheless, Alabama Lass, yeah, am I going to take 145? Well, I'm not so sure, but she's clearly the horse to beat.
Yeah, she certainly is, Aidan. The bookies have just opened her up very short. And as you mentioned, the key lead into the 1,000 guineas, the futures market. Let's take a look at it, where she is the favourite at $3. But if there is that question mark around her at the mile, who do you think is the horse sitting in this market, Aidan, that maybe is one potentially that could shorten in after Saturday?
Well, who shortens in after Monday is the query, and that'll be Captured by Love, because Captured by Love goes around the James and Annie Sarton Memorial at Tarapa on Monday, and I think she should be winning that. If Alabama Lass does put a hole in them in the Soliloquy, then maybe she shortens in, but then maybe Captured by Love, if she wins the Sarton on Monday, then that way. So there's not a lot between them. If I had to choose between them right now, I think I'd be going Captured by Love. I'd be interested to know what Matt thinks.
Yeah, well, between Captured by Love and Alabama Lass, they've proven to be the benchmark in the north. Resiah, obviously hard to weigh up that form in the south with a couple of black-type wins. Aidan, Captured by Love in the nominations for the 2,000 guineas. If she goes there, does she go and do both?
Oh, why not? 2009, we saw a pretty smart one do both as well, with Graham and Debbie Rogerson's touch on her. But yeah, who knows? I don't think it would be detrimental on the 7-day backup. Okay,
so that's what the guys are thinking. Leading into that 1,000 guineas, as we now concentrate on the other race we've got to have a look at out of Ellerslie. It is the TAB handicap, the open over the mile, where Nereus is your favourite at $4.40, Habana at $5. Now those colours that have been going well in the last couple of weekends. Sagunto at $8.50 and Wessex at $9. Let's go back to Nereus. Last time over the 2,100 metres, and he was very stiff here, Aidan. What do you think about him back to the mile?
Well, that's the query, obviously, the drop back in distance. But like you say, he was doing everything right at the end of it. He is high class, but he comes up against some maybe specialist 1,600 metre horses, so that's got to be the little query. But really like what he's doing, and I'm just going to trust him on quality, because he's a good one.
He's a horse who just got dictated that wee bit wider at about the 200 metres, and I think it cost him about a half a length having to angle out when the two horses inside of him did drift wider on the track, and you can just see his work after the line as well. Nereus, pretty good. So a solidly run 1,600 metres plays into his hands. We've seen the Remataka Classic form stack up with the Odyssey winning last week, of course, Nereus placing in that. We'd just love to see him settle from barrier one in the first half a dozen, see them go hard and allow them to work through from the 600 metres, and then I think we'd see the best of him. I don't think he's necessarily an explosive finisher over the 1600, but kind of works through his gears. I thought Meaningful Star was really good here. First up run in 311 days. It was his first run here in New Zealand as well. Matt Cartwright jumps on board. He was only beaten a length here over 1400 metres. Look, is there some query second up to 1600? Does he want one more? I reckon there was enough in this to say that he's worth a bit of a nibble here, Meaningful Star. Obviously, Seamus and Rudyard were both very good, Aidan, but I thought Meaningful Star, if he took a length of improvement up to the mile here, there was enough in this for him to be an each-way play.
Yeah, I don't mind the form out of this race whatsoever, and yeah, he was up to Class 2 company in Hong Kong, so his form's okay. Rudyard's going okay. I wouldn't be dropping that horse whatsoever. Another horse from the Firing Mackay stable, how about the run from Wolfgang in the Geelong Cup on Wednesday? That was some effort after being posted 3 wide and still kicking on for 4th. Here's Segundo, who does have tactical speed and a bit of pluck about him as well, Matt. I don't mind him in this race either.
And a very much informed jockey as well with Riccarton on board, 57.5 kilos. It's one of those horses, Segundo, when you look at the field, if you're looking for something each way to get up off the couch for at the 100 metres, he's it. So he's probably the each way play in the race. Hard to go past Nereus, but I thought Meaningful Star up to 1600 metres. How often do we see it? Horses come back from Hong Kong, their first or second up runs here in New Zealand are generally very good. And even though he's an evergreen 8-year-old, I think he can win at a price, Aidan. Okay,
very cool too. I'm going to go with Nereus. He's one of my favourites. I think he's got so much in front of him. He's had a couple of little issues that have sort of plagued him, but he's back to 1600 metres, and I think this is a start of something. Could be a real springboard towards something good, but I know he's got the quality to be winning this pip, and people have been asking me, so it was, of course, Katie Lee who won that 1,000, 2,000 guineas double earlier on.
Yeah, what a horse she was as well, Katie Lee. So there you go, that's what the guys are liking at Ellerslie. Having a look at the 2 features on the program, and the first gets underway at 12:10. Time for our race trackers. Make sure you note these ones down. Aidan, we're going to start with you. Who have you found?
I found Sefton. I'll take you back to the last of the day here at Ashburton last week. This is a horse coming right down the outside in the yellow colours. Runs the quickest closing sectionals of the race. Of the other 5 who finished in the top 6, they were all in the first 6 and running. Sefton's come from just behind them. Just thought it was a really nice first up run, and of course this gave Vicky Rahmat his first solo training win.
After to Ashburton as well, Aidan, with Richard Stomper. This horse from the Steph Faulkner stable, you see him in the centre there. He was only second up after a pretty decent breakaway. This was in rating 75 company, beats El Viento, who's in decent form. Rockmont, not the worst horse. I just love the willingness of this animal. I think to Riccarton Park, if you find him in the right race over Cup Week, he'll certainly be worth following.
And we're all going for last start winners. I'm taking you back to Saturday at Otaki. Kaladu Thunder here for the Lowry Zeidenboss stable. I just thought it was a really nice performance on debut. It looks a gelding with a bit of upside, still a wee bit green, but the ears pricked to the line and did it pretty easily too for Jonathan Riddell. So don't think it'll be his last win. Looks a nice upside too, and considering he's 3-year-old, he could be in some nice races coming up this summer. So here's a summary. Aidan with Sefton, Matt's with Richard Stomper, and I'm with Kaladu Thunder. Note them down and pop them in your black book. Our second domestic meeting on Saturday is down at Riccarton, so Matt, will head to you. You've had quite a lot of nice weather, but sounds like you've got a bit of rain forecast.
Yeah, the start of this week, Pip, couldn't have been any better, and by all reports, the track's in really good order. We've got the running rail out 6 metres to the 1,000 and the remainder out 9 metres, and I think that's going to be crucial because come Friday night, it is meant to absolutely bucket down here in Christchurch. Currently on a soft 6, they have been irrigating the track. It's going to be pretty testing by all reports if that weather comes in, Pip, so we might be looking for those with a bit of wet track form come Saturday. OK, so not ideal weather-wise, but let's take a look at the feature and we try and find some horses that might like a cut out of the track here. In the Group 3 Watercree Stakes over the mile, Kiwi Skyhawk favourite for Stephen Marsh, who won this race last season. Resire at $3, and then you've got Customised at $8, the only runner on that third line of betting in single figures. Let's go back to Kiwi Skyhawk
and the step up to the mile here, Matt, looks really ideal.
Yeah, and I think if the rain comes as well, he looks the sort of horse with his action like he might plough through a track with a fair bit of give in it. Look, it might not be the maximum distance that we'll ever see him run over, 1,600 metres. He looks as though he'll just keep trucking all day. Got to be the horse to beat. As I've said, really hard to line up that form maiden north versus south. But from what I've seen of him, a solidly run race around Riccarton Park is going to suit him.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any problems around a wet track either. He's proven himself on that before. He's just showing so much upside, and at distance is probably shorter than his best. So getting to 1,600 metres really does suit him. Boy Resia's been good in the last couple. She's won the Canterbury Bell and then she's won the Barneswood, and both times she's done it from worse in midfield with rails hugging rides. That it just shows how willing she is to be taking gaps. Actually, she did come out a little bit wider in the previous one, but look, she's just paddling here for a little while. This was a race that really was run to suit the closers. So for that reason, I'm going to give When Stars Align a little bit of a forgive here. But the win of Resia, very good. She's just keeping on raising that bar, Matt.
Yeah, and she looked not a totally different horse from the Canterbury Bell, but she'd really furnished. You could just see how fit she was, even just looking at that shot there. She was a horse who had shown great progression physically through those two runs, so she'd only have to go as good again to be playing a part. Now, this horse was scratched out of the Barneswood farm for refusing to load up, and her name is Cloche. So clearly there's a few manners worries with her. No doubting the ability, though. Here she is running a placing in behind Age of Discovery, who obviously we won't be seeing here during the Spring Carnival at Riccarton Park, but he's a horse with a massive future. She's still a wee bit green, I think, and the fact that she didn't load up last time out suggests that mentally she might not just be there yet. Lil Zena was okay in this particular race. Hard to say she can win it, Aidan, but obviously there's a motor there.
Yep, runs all the second quickest closing sectionals in behind Age of Discovery, who was good. Lil Zena was perhaps entitled to do more, dropping back to maiden company last time out, but the run was still very good. Be interesting just to see how they all line up. Just going back into Resia as well, when this horse ran second in the Castletown Stakes, which is on a heavy track, the third horse home was He's Lucid, and they basically finished alongside each other. It hasn't been a bad form race. 2014 Platinum Witness won both this race in the 1,000 guineas, in the following year Risque won them both. Novia won the double 2,000 guineas in this race in 2021, and Atlante did in 2013. I am going to go with the Visitor. First up in the south, Kiwi Skyhawk. Like what I've seen, no problems about a wet track, and yeah, I just wondered whether maybe they should have stayed north and really just targeted the Derby, but why not pick up a 2,000 guineas along the way, Matt? Yeah,
I'm with you, and I think with the rain anticipated to come here in Canterbury, I think that's going to suit him. Kiwi Skyhawk, Resia, and look, there's a couple of others in the race who probably need the right sort of tempo. Customised is one of those. Still ran the best last 800 metres in the Barneswood farm last time out, and he's a horse who might just fly under the radar a wee bit. And
might just like that tiny bit of cut out of the track as well. So that's a look at the Group 3 feature. Now let's move on to the list. It is the Soti Spring Classic here over the 2,000 metres, where Dazzling Miss is $4.50 favourite from Fellini at $7.50, who has been a mover in this market, and then you've got John O'Rocker at $8. Let's go back to Lombardi last time out. Matt, what did you make of the performance? One thing, drops in weight here significantly.
Yeah, certainly does, and another horse who drops in weight even more is John O'Rocker, who's in the red and black colours just in behind them. He got himself a bit keen, John O'Rocker. It'd be better for the experience here, but there's a couple of things in his favour. There is that 3.5 kilogram favour that he's got over Lombardi heading into this. I think getting onto a softer track is going to help him as well, and if he gets a bit more of an economical run in transit, he can turn the tables on Lombardi, but Lombardi was most impressive. That he's certainly going to need that weight swing in his favour, John O'Rocker. Aidan Star Ballot okay, Fierce Flight just fair. Lombardi clearly a horse on the up, and he just keeps improving. Yeah, Fierce Flight was a head scratcher because we know the ability is there, so it's one you want to be forgiving and thinking, you know, if he gets back to his best form, then he's going to be in this for sure. I agree with you around John O'Rocker though. 3.5 kilograms, you change the weights in that race, and
you know, he's going to be beating Lombardi, who has gone on, though, to frank the form, and he's racing really well, Lombardi, this preparation. There's 2 wins now from his last 5 starts. Now, the key form line, we have a look at Fellini, who did everything right here. It was a pretty good ride, too, from Riccarton, who just got a suck run 3 or 4 back the fence, just got the right time to come out wider on the track and then show winning form. Years back was okay in second. Dazzling Miss is obviously the horse who's really captured bookmakers' attention. Does come home with all the best closing splits out wide, but only gets into 7th position, so does need to improve a little bit on that. Miss Layla was equally as good as well. How does this rate as a lead-up form guide, Matt?
I think nice enough. Years back was probably her best run this preparation, I think, and she's got a barrier draw where she might potentially be able to use that and go forward. Dazzling Miss, I think they'll be a bit more positive with her. This time around, she had an ugly gate there at Ashburton, didn't jump all that well. They rode her stone cold, and she'll be an improver as well. She's a big mare who carries good conditions, so with a couple of runs under her belt, you'd think she'd be improved. Miss Layla was good late. She's 3rd up coming into this race, but Dazzling Miss does meet her 4 kilograms better, so there's a bit of a favour to her, and if Dazzling Miss were to get up on speed, I think she can improve. Lombardi runs the best 600, 400 and 200 here when winning at Ashburton, drops 5.5 kilograms off this. Star Ballot ran the best 800, was home nicely. Mayor of Norwood in the Anderton colours finishes midfield in 7th position, but he does drop 7 kilos. The worrying thing for him, Aidan, I think, is if that track gets into the heavy range, it might put paid to his chances, but he's going well enough that if he finds himself in, say, a Metrop in a couple of weeks' time, he could be competitive there.
Yeah, more than anything, I think this race is just franking the earlier form lines of John O'Rocco. But like he is going really nicely, Lombardi, and credit to Bruce Smith. And of course, he's getting a hand from his good mate Danny Fry in making sure that Lombardi is just ready to go. Just has a bit of a tricky barrier draw this time around. So, but he's in the mix, no question, in this Spring Classic. And we'll take you to have a look here at LJ, who comes right down the very outside to be winning at Rotorua. Comes from last to do it. He's a New Zealand Cup winner. This Stefanos Classic win was pretty good. He's now won 9, and he relishes a heavy track, Matt.
He does. The worrying thing is the weight. It's weight can stop a train, and when you've got everything else pretty much on the minimum, bar John O'Rocco, who's a half a kilo over the minimum, it is worrying for him, but he's a classy customer, and there's a reason why he's carrying that much weight. I thought John O'Rocco, he'll be able to get himself maybe in a better position than he did last time out. Things just didn't go to plan for him. Nobody was at fault there. There was horses improving around him. He got himself in tight quarters up the straight. So with a clear run, the weight swings in his favour, John O'Rocco. I think he's the bet in the race, Aidan.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. I'm with John O'Rocco as well, and especially at the prices. I thought the biggest danger was LJ Pip.
Both of the guys were with John O'Rocco, but we're going to take a look at the New Zealand Cup futures. Of course, we're not that far away at all. Aidan, have they got the right favourite here in Nest Egg and LJ, or can you see value elsewhere?
It's an even race, it really is, and this could go any which way. There is a horse I'm looking forward to seeing run at New Plymouth on Friday, a horse called Liquid Fire, currently at $41. I've already had a small bet, so that's where I'll just have a little interest, but I do want to see that horse, there it is right down the bottom, Liquid Fire. Just want to see it doing everything right at New Plymouth on Friday. Okay,
there you go, and you've already had a little investment too, so like that $41 currently for Liquid Fire, and at Riccarton on Saturday too, there is the odds surge available on each and every race up to a max bet of $100. We're heading back to the Valley, but this time on Friday night, race number 7. We look forward to the Moonee Valley Gold Cup. We'll take a look at the market. You'll see a couple of Kiwis in here. Positivity, of course, come out of the Caulfield Cup. She'll take her place there. Jai McNeil currently in the market around $7, and Sharp and Smart at $20 as well for Team Rogerson. He's got the informed jockey on low, and Craig Williams. Right, let's go back to one of the key lead-in races at the Bart Cummings here. Just Fine wins it, but obviously Positivity too. She ran okay here, Aidan. She didn't get all favours in the running.
Exactly, for the My Racehorse team, and of course a former winner of a Group 1 Metropolitan. Last time out wins the Group 3 Bart Cummings and won it really well. That's Point King, who comes down the outside into second position. She's just going really nicely. Another thing to look out for here is the way the Positivity finishes off. The horse on her outside is Interpretation, who's run a cracking race for second in the Geelong Cup on Wednesday, and Positivity goes every bit as well. I think Positivity's a real factor in this race. Obviously Just Fine going well. Matt, how did you assess the Bart Cummings?
Yeah, Just Fine. It was a very good ride, a very good front-running ride from Jordan Childs. If you break the race down sectionally, it was a super effort. The last 200 metres obviously the slowest for him, but the positive was Positivity coming from back in the field. I thought her closing splits were very good. Of course, an Oaks place getter here over the trip in New Zealand. She can most certainly win this, the Moonee Valley Gold Cup on Friday night, so long as she doesn't get too far back in the races run similarly to the Bart Cummings. She's going to be a big player. Francesco Guardi. Now, this horse has just been bubbling under the radar a wee bit. Well, so we thought, but then we see the $3.50 on opening. James McDonald, Chris Waller. Things didn't go to plan 2 starts ago on the Naturalism after drawing a wide barrier draw in an on-speed suited race. And we've seen the format of the Turnbull stack up already last week in the Caulfield Cup. Going well enough, Francesco Guardi, the son of Frankel Aiden, and the step up to 2,500 metres, obviously where that confidence is coming from.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously we're seeing the push here around what we've seen from Buckaroo in the Caulfield Cup last week, so it's good form, but you talk about their naturalism, and Positivity's beaten the horse by 3 3/4. Now, you're seeing Francesco Guardi as a favourite here, but doesn't it really give you another push towards the Andrew Forsman trained Positivity? Certainly some sort of chance anyhow. What I'm really keen on in this race especially is Akita Sushi. I thought this was a terrific run. It was a run where she had to show some real pluck, or he did, and I thought he's kicked on really well. The winners there in the Australian Bloodstock colours on the outside being Herman Hess, but I thought it was a gutsy performance from Akita Sushi. He's outside the Melbourne Cup by about 10 places, so he really needs a statement performance in the Cup on Friday night.
Yeah, he's a horse who has obviously got an immense motor. The worrying thing for him is if Just Fine was able to work across with him, there could be a bit of pressure and they could both undo each other. Look, Positivity is clearly a horse that is backable at the price. Hard to go past the McDonald Waller factor, though, around Francesco Guardi. I think the step up to 2,500 metres will suit him. They might try and ride him a spot or two closer, and he could well be the horse to beat, but Aidan might have given me a bit of a sway there into Positivity. Is she your pick, Aidan?
She's not, and I really hope she does run well. She's currently around about 6 spots away from a Melbourne Cup, so we just want to see her, just sneak her way up the order. I'm going to go with Akita Sushi. Just really like what I saw of that run last time out. So keen on him going well. I keep on getting the name around the wrong way. Also, I just want to mention Sharp and Smart. He was just caught wide in a tough old run last time out. By all accounts, he's really impressed the Rogersons in training. Craig Williams was on him in their breakfast with the Stars session, and he was really happy with the way he was moving. So wouldn't it be great to see him get up? He's currently up to 13th in the order for the Melbourne Cup, so they don't have to have a gut buster here, but what we do want to see is a really good semi-final trial for the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, we really do, and hope that he can go into that in some good form. So don't miss it, the Moonee Valley Cup, 11:15, so a bit of a late one on Friday night. It's Thompson Handicap Day on Sunday out of Trentham. So Aidan, are we getting that same weather on Sunday down in Wellington?
Yeah, we sure are, to the extent where NZTR have put out a statement saying there's significant rain falling. They're just going to have to be monitoring the situation. So as you can see there, rail in true position is currently a soft 5. That would probably not have been updated until we record on a Thursday morning, but the weather doesn't really hit till later in the week, and when it does, it might have a bit of an effect on that Trentham track.
Yeah, it really could. There are runners in there, though, that do handle heavy. As we take a look at the market, one of those is Spencer, who's in here at around $12. Town Crier at $5. Islington Lass at $5. Got Ladies Man at $8.50. Lisa Ladder's got a good hand on this race. She's won it the last 2 years. This is Dramatic last year. And Who's a Doozy prior to that? And he's in this market at $9.50. Let's go back to Spencer, though. This was fantastic to see Aidan for Erin Hockard, him do this with the season that that he'd already had.
Yeah, such a gritty win, and he's just another horse who's just continued to raise the bar on his preparation. He's gone really well here, beaten a quality field, and did have a conversation with Erin Hockard this week, and she's really pleased with the way he's progressed. So just can't rule him out on what he's doing, Matt. Yeah, great to see the buzz on the face of Erin post that victory as well. I guess the question is up to 1,600 metres. I don't think the question is, will he get it? We've just never seen him over 1,600 metres, so there's got to be that natural query around him. 54.5 kilos with Joe Doyle on board, though, is going to be a positive. If it rains, it's going to play into the hands of a horse like Islington Lass. She's been back to the trials, and I was most impressed with her trial. About as good as you'll see a horse trial. This Islington Lass, the Poissy mare, she's won 7 of 13, 4 of those over 1,600, 2 of them at Trentham, and handles a heavy track as well. She's got gate 1, Matt Cartwright on. I don't think it'll matter too much where she gets to in the run. If it's a heavy track, they're going to come wide. You get a horse like Town Crier who's probably going to roll across, but they don't trial too much better than that, I don't think, Aidan. Absolutely not, and she's high class. Anyone who remembers her winning the Rangatiki Cup last year on a rain-affected track at Trentham will not want to be leaving her out of numbers, because she was terrific. She was so gritty. She came from an unwinnable position basically to win that race. Yeah, she's got something about her. I really, really like Islington Lass, and yeah, real respect around her in this race too. Also around Town Crier, because this is a gritty run for second in the Taranaki Breeder Stakes, and we did speak to Rawdon Ferguson leading into the race, and he said she's just maybe, you know, not in the same condition she was last year when she'd won this race. His assessment was bang on. Her performance was still full of merit, and I think there's improvement. So just got to be really respectful of the quality of this performance, Matt. Yeah, for sure. And she's Group 1 placed over the mile, of course. She was 189 days in between runs there. Maps to get across with Craig Grills on board, and as we know, she will handle the heavy track as well, as will this horse, maybe more so than anyone else. Ladies Man carries the 60 kilos, son of Zed, third up. He is a 3-time winner on a heavy track, 9 minors from just 15 starts, and one of the most willing horses going around as well. 1,600 metres, never won at the distance, but he's all class, Aidan, and if that rain comes, even with the weight, could play into his hands. Well, I think the rain's going to come. I think they make that the best bet of the day, actually, Matt. But one thing, wherever Ladies Man goes, the rain seems to follow him, certainly in New Zealand anyhow. He's had 2 runs back, both of those have been on heavy tracks, and now he goes to a soft track when he's getting up in distance and ready to go, and he gets more rain. So he should cop it okay. Real respect around the stablemate as well, Islington Lass. I think they are 2 really hard ones to beat. But I'm going to go with Town Crier. I just think there's improvement out of that Taranaki Breeder Stakes, and yeah, I really like what I saw of her that day. Matt, for you? Yeah, I think that trial of Islington Lass has her right in the zone as well. Between her and Town Crier, I think one of the 2 will be winning the race. Maybe Islington Lass might just have that little element of a fitness edge over Town Crier, who's only second up, but I'm sure they'll both be fighting out the finish. Yeah, they certainly should be. So that's what the guys are like in the Group 3 on Sunday. Don't miss it on Sunday session.
Pivotal 10 in front, 150 out. 5 lengths clear now. It's bolted away. More Sass and Criteria battled out the minors, but it's all Pivotal 10. Pivotal 10 bolts in.
On the corner, Big Time Kiwi, Ameliorated running a race. Big Time Kiwi beats Ameliorated.
Duchess Megs it. She's holding on from Treacherous Baby, who's having a crack, and they hit it.
It's a dead heat for first between 7 Treacherous Baby and 9 Duchess Megs it.
But he moved up in the blink of an eye. Frank the Tank raced to the lead at the 200 metres from Bookie Park Footloose. Through the back, Bozo, Celtic Echo and Beavertown Boy. But he's away again. He's a pretty decent sort of horse. Frank the Tank goes back to back.
Yes, it was a great week last weekend with our best bets. Let's try and find some more. Aidan, you already alluded to yours, but give us a reminder.
Yeah, I did say Alabama less earlier on, not thinking about a price, but now I've seen Whale get home with Duchess Megs at what would that have paid? $1.05 after the dead hit and splitting the money, so I'm happy to go 145. Ken and Bev Kelso did win this race and the 1,000 guineas with Legato 2 years ago. Wet track, a little concern. I'm going to make some excuses, but I'm going to say Alabama less.
That's right, $1.45 better than the bank, Aidan. Fair and Faithful win. Race 4, Addington, Friday night. Stakes placed at her most recent start in the Southland Oaks. She was seconded behind Empire City 2 starts ago. She's $2.60. She should be $1.80. If you're watching this, get on now because I reckon she'll start short of $2.
Look, to be fair, I think my greyhound on Sunday in the last race will be in the red as well. Bay Fly just absolutely looks a dog to beat in the last one to pop through the multis, and maybe we have got a wee multi there between our 3. So that's what Matt, Aidan and I are liking. What about Rozzo? He's jumping in with She's Ready in race number 10 at Whanganui on Friday. The Wales with Jollymont 2 at Alexandra Park on Friday. And then you can see the rest of ours there. Make sure you note them down. Hopefully we've found you more winners for the weekend. Thank you to Matt for joining us this week, and Aidan, we'll catch you back next week. Until then, enjoy all of the action this weekend.